Zara Williams had perfected the art of being overlooked. She kept her eyes down, her responses monosyllabic, her presence so unremarkable that people forgot she was in the room within seconds. It was survival. It was safety. It was the only way a woman with her secrets could exist in a world that wanted her dead. The Romano estate in Manhattan's Upper East Side was her fourth placement in 2 years. Each time she'd gotten too comfortable, shown too much competence, she'd moved on before questions could be asked, before anyone could look too closely at the woman who cleaned their toilets and see the Yale graduate who'd once briefed senators on international security threats. Zara, third floor library needs dusting, Mrs. Chen, the head housekeeper, called out in that perpetually irritated tone she used with all the staff. Mr. Romano has guests tonight. Everything must be perfect. Yes, ma'am, Zara mumbled, keeping her gaze on the marble floor. She'd learned long ago that eye contact invited conversation, and conversation invited scrutiny. The library was her favorite room in the sprawling mansion, though she'd never admit it. Floor-to-ceiling shelves held books in dozens of languages: Italian, Russian, French, Japanese, Arabic. She recognized first editions that belonged in museums, philosophical texts that revealed an intellect far beyond the typical crime boss stereotype. Dante Romano was not typical in any sense of the word. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. Zara had been working at the estate for 3 weeks and had seen him exactly twice. Both times, he'd walked past her without a glance, his tall frame moving with the controlled grace of a predator, his dark eyes focused on whatever crisis demanded his attention. She was invisible to him. Good. That's how it needed to stay. She pulled the feather duster from her supply cart and began working methodically along the shelves. The late afternoon sun streamed through the massive windows, casting golden light across the Persian rugs that probably cost more than she'd made in her entire previous life. Her previous life. Dr. Zara Williams, linguistic analyst for the CIA's Counterterrorism Division. Fluent in 8 languages, expert in cryptography and coded communications. The woman who'd discovered that 3 high-ranking officials were selling classified intel to foreign governments. The woman who'd been marked for death before she could testify. 2 years of hiding. 2 years of pretending to be someone else. 2 years of watching her mother's grave from a distance, unable to visit, unable to grieve properly. All because she'd been naive enough to believe the system would protect whistleblowers. Zara shook off the memories and focused on dusting. Stay present. Stay invisible. Stay alive. She was reaching for a leather-bound volume of Dante's Inferno. Appropriate, she thought darkly, when she heard voices in the hallway. Male voices, tense and urgent. She froze, instinct screaming at her to hide, but there was nowhere to go. The library had only one entrance. The door burst open and Dante Romano strode in, followed by 3 men in expensive suits. Zara immediately dropped her gaze, shrinking against the bookshelf, becoming part of the furniture. "We can speak freely here," Dante said, his voice carrying that distinctive Italian accent that turned even simple statements into something commanding. "The staff knows better than to repeat what they hear." "The shipment from Moscow is compromised," one of the men said, his accent marking him as Russian. "Kozlov is demanding proof of your connections before he'll proceed. He wants documentation. Everything." Dante's response was sharp, clipped. "I don't provide documentation. That's not how this works." "Then the deal dies. 10 million in merchandise sits in limbo and we all lose." Zara kept dusting, moving slowly, mechanically. "Don't react. Don't show interest. Don't exist." "What about the contracts from Shanghai?" another man asked. "Can we leverage those?" "The Chinese won't appreciate being used as leverage," Dante said coldly. And I don't burn bridges with one partner to satisfy another's paranoia. The conversation continued, growing more heated. Zara's mind automatically categorized what she was hearing: import routes, front companies, the intricate web of international criminal enterprise. It was exactly the kind of intelligence she used to analyze, the patterns she used to decode. But that was the old Zara, the dead Zara. This Zara just dusted books and kept her mouth shut. "Gentlemen, we'll continue this discussion over dinner," Dante finally said. "Antonio, have the files brought to my study. The Moscow documentation and the Shanghai contracts. I want everything reviewed before Kozlov's call tomorrow." The men filed out, but Zara felt eyes on her. She kept her head down, continuing her work, barely breathing. "You." Dante's voice cut through the silence. "How long have you been in here?" Zara's heart hammered against her ribs. "Just now, sir. Just started." She kept her eyes down, her voice soft, adding a slight tremor that wasn't entirely manufactured. "What's your name?" "Zara, sir." "Look at me when I'm speaking to you." Slowly, reluctantly, she raised her eyes. And for the first time, Dante Romano truly saw her. His gaze swept over her face, the warm brown skin, the natural curls she kept pulled back in a tight bun, the deliberately plain features she tried to make even more unremarkable. But his eyes were sharp, assessing, and she saw the exact moment he registered her intelligence before she could hide it. "How long have you worked here?" "3 weeks, sir." "And you understand the importance of discretion?" "Yes, sir, I don't hear nothing. Don't see nothing. Just clean." She deliberately mangled the grammar, playing dumb, playing safe. Something flickered in his expression, skepticism perhaps, but he nodded curtly. "See that you remember that." He left, and Zara sagged against the bookshelf, her hands shaking. Too close. That had been too close. She finished her work quickly and retreated to the servants' quarters, a converted section of the mansion's basement where the live-in staff resided. Her room was small but private, a luxury after years of shelters and shared apartments. She locked the door and sank onto the narrow bed, her mind racing. She should leave, should disappear again, find another city, another identity. But running required money she didn't have, and the Romano job paid better than anything else she'd found. She needed to build her emergency fund, save enough to disappear properly if the people hunting her ever got close. Just a few more months. Keep your head down for a few more months. The next evening, Zara was cleaning the third-floor hallway when she heard the commotion from Dante's study. Raised voices, something crashing, a string of Italian curses that needed no translation. She should walk away. Should mind her own business. Instead, she found herself moving closer, drawn by instincts she couldn't quite suppress. Through the partially open door, she could see Dante behind his massive desk, papers scattered everywhere, his usually immaculate appearance disheveled. His tie was loosened, sleeves rolled up, dark hair falling across his forehead. He looked dangerous and desperate in equal measure. 48 hours? He was saying into his phone, pacing like a caged panther. "I need a translator who can handle Russian, Mandarin, and Arabic in 48 hours, and everyone I've contacted is either unavailable or incompetent." He slammed the phone down, bracing his hands on the desk. Zara watched his shoulders rise and fall with controlled breathing, watched him gather himself with visible effort. Then his eyes landed on something. A file folder, thick with documents, papers spilling out onto the floor. "Cristo," he muttered, kneeling to gather them. Zara's eyes widened as she caught sight of the documents. They were contracts, agreements, shipping manifests. But what made her breath catch were the languages: Russian Cyrillic mixed with Mandarin characters, Arabic script alongside Italian. Complex technical language that would challenge even experienced translators. This was the documentation for the Moscow deal. The proof Kozlov had demanded. And from the look of pure frustration on Dante's face, he couldn't find anyone to translate it accurately in time. "Walk away!" her survival instinct screamed. "This is not your problem." But she'd spent 2 years being invisible, being voiceless, being less than she was, and standing there, watching this powerful man brought low by something she could fix in her sleep. Something inside her rebelled. Before she could talk herself out of it, Zara knocked softly on the doorframe. Dante's head snapped up, his expression instantly guarded. "What?" "I'm sorry, sir. I don't mean to disturb, I just—" She hesitated, making it look like fear rather than calculation. "I heard you need translator for Russian and Chinese and Arabic?" His eyes narrowed. "How much did you hear?" "Nothing, sir. Just that you need translator. She took a breath, committing to the leap. "I can help. I speak those languages, all three." The silence was absolute. Dante stared at her like she'd sprouted a second head. "You speak Russian, Mandarin, and Arabic." "Yes, sir, and French and German and Spanish, and English, obviously." She kept her voice soft, uncertain, like she was ashamed of her abilities rather than proud of them. "The woman who just told me 3 weeks ago she don't hear nothing, don't see nothing, speaks 7 languages." His tone was flat, dangerous. Zara's stomach dropped, but she forced herself to meet his eyes. "I speak them. Don't mean I'm smart, sir. Just means I learned them growing up. My mama worked for the UN, moved around a lot. I picked up languages, but I never finished school proper. Got no certificates, no degrees. Just, I can understand them. Can speak them." It was a carefully constructed lie built on fragments of truth. Her mother had worked for the State Department. They had moved frequently. The only falsehood was the lack of education, but that was the lie that kept her safe. Dante stood slowly, moving around his desk with predatory focus. He picked up one of the documents from the floor, the Russian contract, and held it out to her. "Read this, out loud." Zara took the paper, her hands steady despite her racing heart. She scanned the Cyrillic text, a shipping agreement for agricultural equipment that was obviously code for something else entirely. It says, "The first party agrees to facilitate transport of agricultural equipment, designation AK series, from the port of Vladivostok to New York Harbor, arriving no later than March 15th. Payment of $10 million to be transferred through intermediary accounts as previously specified. Any delay or interference will result in contract termination and forfeiture of deposit." She looked up to find Dante staring at her with an expression she couldn't read. "The translation is accurate?" "Yes, sir. Though agricultural equipment means weapons, AK series is rifle designation. And the threat at the end about forfeiting deposit, that's not just money. In Russian criminal organizations, that means someone dies if the deal falls through." The words were out before she could stop them, her analytical training overriding her carefully constructed ignorance. Dante's eyes widened fractionally, and she knew she'd made a mistake. "Interesting," he said softly, "for someone with no formal education." Zara's mind raced. "My mama's job. I heard things, picked things up. Don't mean I understood it all proper." "Your mama's job?" He moved closer, studying her face with unnerving intensity. "What exactly did your mother do at the UN?" "Administrative work, sir. Filing, organizing. But she was around important people, around conversations. I just listened well." Dante was close enough now that she could smell his cologne, expensive and subtle. Close enough that she had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. "You're lying to me, Zara. I don't know about what, exactly, but you're lying." Her heart hammered, but she kept her expression neutral. "Everyone got secrets, Mr. Romano. I imagine you got plenty of your own. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. That's the first honest thing you've said since walking in here. He stepped back, crossing his arms. I need these documents translated by tomorrow morning. Russian, Mandarin, Arabic. Technical accuracy is critical. If I use your translations and they're wrong, people die. Can you handle that responsibility? Yes, sir. Why are you offering to help? You've worked here 3 weeks and made yourself invisible. Why break cover now? Because I'm tired of being invisible, she thought. Because I miss using my mind. Because for 2 years I've been less than I am, and it's slowly killing me. Because you need help, she said instead. And because I can provide it. Maybe I'm tired of just cleaning toilets when I got skills that could be useful. Dante studied her for a long moment, and she could practically see him weighing risks, calculating outcomes. Finally, he nodded toward the scattered documents. You have until 6 a.m. There's a desk in the corner. Work there where I can see you. Sir, I should... No one knows you're doing this work. No one can know. The moment anyone discovers I'm using an unvetted translator for sensitive material, both our lives are in danger. You work here, under my supervision, and you don't leave this room until it's done. Understood? It should have terrified her, being locked in a room with a mafia boss while translating his criminal enterprises. Instead, for the first time in 2 years, Zara felt a spark of something she'd thought was dead. Purpose. Understood, sir. And Zara? His voice dropped lower, more dangerous. If you betray me, if you repeat one word of what you translate tonight to anyone, you'll disappear. Not fired, not warned. Disappeared. Do I make myself clear? She should run, should refuse, should protect the fragile safety she'd built. Instead, she met his dark eyes steadily. Crystal clear, Mr. Romano. And just so you know, I got just as much to lose as you do if anyone finds out about this. Maybe more. His eyebrows rose at her boldness, and that ghost of a smile returned. Then we understand each other. Get to work. Zara has just revealed her hidden abilities to the most dangerous man in New York. But as she translates his secrets, will he discover hers? And what happens when two people with everything to hide find they can't hide from each other? Keep watching to discover what Zara finds in those files, and what Dante discovers about the woman he thought was just a maid. The clock on Dante's study wall read 11:47 p.m. when Zara finished the last document. Her hand cramped from writing, her eyes burned from the fine print, but her mind felt sharper than it had in 2 years. This was what she'd been trained for, parsing complex language, identifying hidden meanings, connecting disparate pieces into a coherent whole. And what a whole it was! Dante Romano wasn't just running typical organized crime operations. He was orchestrating an international network that spanned 5 continents. The documents revealed shipping routes, front companies, and carefully constructed legitimate businesses that masked the flow of everything from weapons to art to information itself. But more than that, they revealed something unexpected: a pattern of transition. Buried in the contracts were clauses that gradually shifted operations toward legal territory. Weapon shipments were being phased out. Art acquisitions were increasingly legitimate. The timeline suggested a 5-year plan to transform the Romano Empire from criminal enterprise to fully legal international conglomerate. Dante Romano was trying to go legitimate. And these documents, if they fell into the wrong hands, would expose him during his most vulnerable transition period. You're frowning. Dante's voice broke through her concentration. He'd been working at his own desk, occasionally glancing up to watch her, but mostly giving her space. Zara looked up, realizing her analytical mask had slipped. Just concentrating, sir? No. He stood, moving toward her desk. That's your "I've figured something out" face. What did you find? She hesitated. The smart play was to keep her observations to herself, do the job, collect whatever payment he offered, and return to invisibility. But looking at him, at the exhaustion in his eyes, the tension in his shoulders, she found herself speaking truth. "You're going legitimate," she said quietly. "The Moscow deal, the Shanghai contracts, even the art acquisitions from Milan, they're all part of a phase-out strategy. You're cleaning your empire." Dante went very still. "And how exactly did you come to that conclusion from simple translations?" "Because the Russian contract has a built-in expiration clause that Kozlov probably doesn't realize is there. The Mandarin agreements prioritize long-term partnerships over quick profits. And the Arabic documents?" She pulled out one of the contracts she'd just finished. "This isn't about weapons or drugs. This is about establishing shipping routes for legitimate tech exports from Dubai to New York. You're building legal infrastructure while maintaining just enough criminal activity to keep your current partners satisfied until you don't need them anymore." The silence stretched between them, heavy with implication. Zara realized too late that she'd revealed far too much. Analytical capability for someone who supposedly just picked up languages from her mother's job. "Who are you?" Dante asked, his voice soft but edged with steel. "And don't give me that bullshit about your mother working at the UN. Nobody learns to read criminal enterprises like classified intelligence reports from casual eavesdropping." Zara's survival instinct screamed at her to lie, to deflect, to run. But she was trapped in this room with a man who could end her life with a phone call. And he'd just given her access to secrets that could destroy him. They were both vulnerable now. "Someone who used to do this professionally," she said carefully. "Someone who had to disappear because knowing things got dangerous." "CIA?" His tone was neutral, but his eyes were sharp as blades. "Analyst? Linguistic division. I decoded intercepts, translated classified documents, briefed people on international threats." The words tumbled out, relief mixing with terror. "And then I found something I wasn't supposed to find. Evidence of corruption at levels that should have been untouchable. I reported it through proper channels, and within 48 hours, I had a price on my head." Dante pulled up a chair sitting across from her, his full attention focused like a laser. "The agency didn't protect you? The people I exposed had connections everywhere. I was told to recant my findings, claim I'd made errors in translation. When I refused..." She met his eyes. "Let's just say my apartment exploded while I was supposedly sleeping. My funeral was very well attended." "But you weren't in the apartment?" "I'd learned to be paranoid. Started sleeping at my office, varying my routes. The night they came for me, I was 3 blocks away and heard the explosion." Her hands clenched in her lap. "I've been dead for 2 years. Zara Williams died in that fire. The woman sitting here is no one, nothing. Just another invisible maid." "Except you're not invisible," Dante said quietly. "You never were. You just wanted to be." Something in his tone made her look up. Really look at him. His expression had softened, the dangerous crime boss replaced by something more human, more understanding. "I know what it's like," he continued, "to be someone you're not because survival demands it. To bury your talents, your intelligence, your very self, because being seen means being vulnerable." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "My father built this empire on fear and blood. When he died, everyone expected me to be exactly like him, brutal, impulsive, violent for the sake of violence. So I let them believe it while I quietly worked to become something different, something better. That's why you're going legitimate. I want to build something that doesn't require me to order deaths to maintain. I want..." He paused, seeming to wrestle with the words. "I want to look at myself in the mirror and not see a monster." The vulnerability in his confession struck something deep in Zara's chest. Here was a man who commanded fear from everyone around him, opening himself to judgment from a woman he'd known for less than a day. "You're not a monster," she said softly. "Monsters don't try to change. They don't plan transitions that take years. They don't care about becoming better." "And you're not nothing," Dante countered. "You're possibly the most brilliant woman I've ever met, hiding in plain sight because the system failed you." Their eyes held, and something shifted in the air between them. Recognition, understanding. Two people who'd been playing roles for so long they'd almost forgotten who they really were. "So what happens now?" Zara asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "You know my secret. I know yours. We're both exposed." Dante stood slowly, extending his hand. "Now you work for me, not as a maid, as my translator, my analyst, my advisor. I pay you what you're actually worth, which is considerably more than housekeeping wages. And we protect each other's secrets, because we both have everything to lose." Zara stared at his outstretched hand. This was the line she couldn't uncross. Once she stepped out of invisibility, there was no going back. But wasn't that what she'd wanted? Wasn't that why she'd knocked on his study door in the first place? She placed her hand in his. His fingers closed around hers, warm and strong. "I accept," she said, "but I have conditions." His eyebrow arched. "You're negotiating with me?" "You need someone you can trust, someone who understands not just languages but the intelligence underneath them. That person is rare, so yes, I'm negotiating." A slow smile spread across his face, transforming it from dangerous to devastating. "I'm listening. First, I work in the shadows. No meetings where I might be photographed or identified. The people who want me dead are still looking. Second, if I ever tell you something is too dangerous, you listen. My instincts kept me alive for 2 years. They're reliable. Third," she took a breath, "you continue your transition to legitimate business. I won't help you hurt people. I'll help you outmaneuver them, outsmart them, even intimidate them. But no innocent casualties." Dante studied her for a long moment. "You realize you're making demands of one of the most powerful men in New York? I realize I'm establishing the terms under which I'll help the man who's trying to become better than his legacy." "Fair enough." He released her hand, but the warmth lingered. "I agree to your terms, with one addition of my own. Which is? You stay here, in the mansion. I have a guest suite on the second floor that's nicer than anything you've seen in the servants' quarters. You'll be safer under my roof, under my protection." Alarm bells rang in Zara's mind. "That's not necessary. I've kept myself safe for 2 years. By being invisible. But the moment you start working for me, you become visible to my enemies. They'll use any weakness against me, and, Zara," his expression grew serious, "anyone who realizes how valuable you are to me becomes a target. I protect what's mine. I'm not yours." "No," he agreed, "but if you work for me, your safety becomes my responsibility. And I take my responsibilities very seriously. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one." There was something in his voice, something possessive yet protective, that should have scared her. Instead, it sent unexpected warmth through her chest. When was the last time anyone had wanted to protect her? The CIA had thrown her away. Her few remaining friends thought she was dead. For 2 years, she had been utterly alone. "Okay," she heard herself say. "I'll take the suite. But I maintain my own exit strategies. I need to know I can leave if things get dangerous." "Agreed. Antonio will show you to your new room in the morning. For tonight." He glanced at the clock. 1:23 a.m. "You should rest. We have a call with Kozlov at 9, and I need you sharp." "We?" You'll be listening, making sure the translation service I use is accurate, and if they're not, you'll tell me immediately through the private line. He pulled out his phone, typing rapidly. I'm sending you a number. It's my direct line. Only 3 people have it. Now you're the 4th. The weight of that statement settled over her. In Dante's world, access meant trust, and trust meant vulnerability. I won't betray you, she said quietly. I know what it's like to have your trust violated. I won't do that to someone else. I know. His smile was gentle now, almost tender. You could have blackmailed me with what you learned tonight, sold the information to my enemies for enough money to disappear properly, but you didn't. That tells me everything I need to know about your character. He walked her to the door, and for a moment they stood close in the doorway, the space between them charged with something neither was ready to name. Thank you, Dante said, for taking the risk, for revealing yourself, for trusting me when you had every reason not to. Thank you for seeing me, Zara replied. For the first time in 2 years, I feel like a person again, not just a ghost. You were never a ghost. You were just waiting for the right moment to come back to life. The guest suite was 3 times the size of her basement room, with a king bed, an ensuite bathroom with a soaking tub, and windows that overlooked the mansion's gardens. But what made Zara's throat tighten was the small detail she noticed as she explored. A bookshelf stocked with linguistics texts, international relations journals, and analysis frameworks. Dante had prepared this room for her, not the generic guest suite, a space designed specifically for who she actually was. She sank onto the bed, exhaustion and emotion washing over her in waves. Her phone buzzed, the new phone Antonio had provided along with her room key. A text from Dante's private number. Sleep well. Tomorrow we start building something better. Together. Zara stared at the message, her thumb hovering over the reply button. Finally, she typed, "Thank you for giving me back myself." His response came within seconds. "Thank you for helping me find who I want to be." She fell asleep with her phone clutched in her hand, and for the first time in 2 years, she didn't dream of explosions and death. She dreamed of possibility. The Kozlov call went smoothly. Zara sat in Dante's study, listening through an earpiece as the professional translator conveyed terms. She'd annotated the documents she'd translated, highlighting where Kozlov might try to manipulate language, where ambiguities could become leverage points. When Kozlov's translator attempted to change mutual cooperation to subordinate arrangement, Zara immediately texted Dante, mistranslation, demand correction. She watched as Dante smoothly interrupted, calling out the error in flawless Russian, asserting dominance through linguistic precision. Kozlov laughed, a sound of respect, and agreed to the original terms. The deal was done. 10 million in agricultural equipment would flow through legal channels disguised as legitimate trade, and Dante would be one step closer to transitioning his empire. When the call ended, Dante turned to her with an expression of pure satisfaction. "You just earned your salary for the next year in one phone call." "Just doing my job." "No." He stood, moving toward her. "You're doing what you were meant to do. Using your brilliant mind instead of hiding it." The intensity in his gaze made her pulse quicken. Over the past week, she'd spent hours with him, reviewing documents, planning strategy, slowly revealing more of herself as he revealed more of himself. She'd learned he played piano to relieve stress, that he read philosophy late at night, that he called his elderly mother in Sicily every Sunday without fail. And she'd learned that the way he looked at her was changing, becoming warmer, more personal, more dangerous to her carefully guarded heart. "Dante," she said carefully, "we should maintain professional boundaries." "Should we?" He stopped just in front of her chair, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. "Tell me you don't feel this connection between us." "What I feel doesn't matter," It's not safe. Nothing about my life is safe, but you make me want to risk it anyway. His hand came up, fingers barely grazing her cheek. You see the man I'm trying to become, not the monster I was. Do you know how rare that is? Zara's breath caught. You see the woman I actually am, not the ghost I've been pretending to be. That's just as rare. Then maybe we're meant to find each other. Two people hiding in plain sight. Finally seen. She should pull away. Should remind him of all the reasons this was impossible. But when his lips lowered to hers, gentle and questioning, she found herself answering. The kiss was soft at first, tentative, as if they were both afraid the other would disappear. Then Dante's hand slid into her hair, tilting her head for better access, and the kiss deepened into something that felt like coming home and jumping off a cliff simultaneously. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Zara pressed her forehead to his. This is crazy. We barely know each other. I know you're brilliant and brave and kind despite everything you've survived. I know you make me want to be better than I am. I know when I look at you, I see my future instead of my past. His thumb traced her lower lip. What else do I need to know? That I'm terrified. That people I care about end up hurt or dead. That I don't know how to do this. How to be visible. How to be vulnerable. How to be anything except alone. Then learn with me. He kissed her again, softer this time. I don't know how to be anything except what my father made me. But with you, I think I can figure it out. It was the most reckless thing she'd done in 2 years. More reckless than revealing her abilities. More dangerous than staying in one place this long. But as Dante pulled her into his arms, Zara let herself believe in second chances. Reality crashed back in 3 days later. Zara was reviewing French contracts in Dante's study when Antonio burst through the door, his usual composure shattered. Boss, we have a problem. Someone's been asking questions about your new consultant. Digging into background, looking for photos, asking staff about the woman who's been spending time in your private study. Dante's entire demeanor shifted. The gentle man from moments ago replaced by the cold strategist. Who? Unclear. But the inquiries are coming from DC, government channels. Zara's blood turned to ice. They found me. Dante's hand immediately found hers, grounding. Who found you? The people who want me dead. They must have flagged my location somehow. Maybe facial recognition. Maybe someone recognized me despite the changes I made. Her mind raced. I need to run. Need to disappear again. No. The word was absolute. Dante, you don't understand. These people have unlimited resources. They'll burn down everything to get to me, including you. Then let them try. His eyes blazed with protective fury. You're under my protection now. No one touches you. You can't protect me from the CIA? Watch me. Antonio cleared his throat. Boss, there's more. The inquiries mentioned a specific name. Agent Marcus Webb. He's requesting a meeting with you. Says it's urgent, national security related. Zara's legs nearly gave out. Marcus Webb, her former handler. The man who'd told her to recant her findings. The man who'd likely ordered her death. He's here, she whispered. He's in New York. Dante pulled her against his chest, his arms iron bands around her. Then we end. This. Now. Tonight. You can't just... Zara. He tilted her face up, his expression fierce and tender simultaneously. I told you I protect what's mine. You're mine now. And I'm going to make sure Marcus Webb and everyone who hurt you understands exactly what happens when they threaten what belongs to me. This isn't your fight. It became my fight the moment I fell in love with you. The confession hung in the air between them. Love. He'd said love. And God help her, she felt it too. This impossible, reckless, transformative love that had grown in just days because they'd truly seen each other. "I love you too," she whispered. "Which is why I can't let you do this. Can't let you risk everything for me." "Too late. You don't get to protect me by leaving." He kissed her hard. "We face this together. You're done running, done hiding. We bring the fight to them, and we end it. Permanently." Zara's past has caught up with her, and now Dante must decide how far he'll go to protect the woman he loves. But Marcus Webb isn't just any threat. He's connected, powerful, and determined. Will Dante's empire be enough to save them both? And what will Zara discover about the real reason Webb wants her dead? Keep watching as everything explodes in the confrontation neither of them saw coming. The meeting with Marcus Webb was set for midnight at one of Dante's legitimate properties, a high-end restaurant in Tribeca that closed to the public after 11. Neutral ground, or as neutral as anything could be, when a Mafia boss and a CIA agent sat across from each other. Zara stood behind a two-way mirror in the private office above the dining room, watching as Dante and Antonio positioned themselves at a corner table. Her heart hammered against her ribs, every instinct screaming at her to run, but Dante's final words before leaving the mansion echoed in her mind. "Trust me. I've got you." The door opened and Marcus Webb walked in. He looked exactly as she remembered. Mid-50s, silver hair, expensive suit that screamed government authority. But there was something new in his eyes. Desperation. "Mr. Romano," Webb said, extending his hand. "Thank you for agreeing to meet." Dante didn't take his hand. "You're asking questions about someone under my protection. I don't appreciate that." Webb's hand dropped, his expression hardening. "So she is here. Dr. Zara Williams, the woman who was supposed to be dead." "Interesting that you call her doctor," Dante said coolly. "I thought she was just an analyst." She had a PhD in computational linguistics from Yale at 23. She was one of the most brilliant minds the agency ever recruited. Webb sat without invitation. And then she made the mistake of being too good at her job. Zara's hands clenched, hearing him admit that her competence had been her downfall, made rage burn through her fear. "She found evidence of corruption," Dante said. "It wasn't a question. She found evidence that 3 senators and 2 agency directors were selling classified intelligence to foreign governments. Billions of dollars in illegal arms deals, technology transfers, information that got American assets killed." Webb's voice was flat. "And she was naive enough to report it. You tried to kill her for doing the right thing." "I tried to protect her." Webb's composure cracked. "I told her to recant, to claim translation errors, to give us time to handle it quietly. But she insisted on formal channels, on congressional hearings, on exposing everything publicly. Do you understand what that would have done? The people she was accusing had the power to start wars. They would have burned the entire intelligence community to protect themselves." "So you decided she was acceptable collateral damage?" Dante's voice was ice. "I decided she was one person against the stability of the entire intelligence apparatus. I made a call." Webb leaned forward. "But I didn't order her death. I ordered her extraction, witness protection, a new life, somewhere safe. My superiors countermanded that order. They sent the kill team." Zara's breath caught. Webb hadn't tried to kill her. He'd tried to save her. "When I heard the explosion," Webb continued, "I thought I'd failed. Thought she was dead because I hadn't moved fast enough. But 2 weeks ago, our facial recognition flagged someone matching her description in Manhattan. Working as a maid, of all things. I had to know if it was real, if she'd survived." "And now that you know," Dante asked. "Now I need her testimony. The people she exposed 2 years ago are about to be appointed to even higher positions. One is being considered for CIA director. If he gets that position, he'll have access to every classified operation in the world. We're talking about a traitor at the highest level of American intelligence. And you expect her to trust you after you failed to protect her the first time? Webb's jaw tightened. I expect her to understand that this is bigger than personal safety. This is about national security, about preventing a monster from gaining ultimate power. In the observation room, Zara's mind raced. Could she trust Webb? 2 years ago, he'd been her mentor, the man who'd recruited her straight out of Yale, who'd championed her abilities. But he'd also been the one who told her to lie, to cover up treason because it was politically inconvenient. Her phone buzzed. A text from Dante. Your call. Do we hear him out or end this now? She typed back. I want to talk to him. Face to face. A pause. Then. Are you sure? No. But I need to look him in the eyes. 3 minutes later, Zara walked down the stairs into the dining room. Webb stood when he saw her, his expression transforming from professional detachment to genuine emotion. Zara? My God, you're alive. She stopped 10 feet away, keeping Dante's protective presence at her back. No thanks to you. I know I failed you. I've carried that guilt every day for 2 years. Webb's voice cracked. But I'm asking you now. Help me stop them. Testify before a closed congressional committee. I can protect you this time. Really protect you. Like you protected me last time? The bitterness in her voice surprised even her. They blew up my apartment, Marcus. I watched my own funeral on the news. My mother died thinking I was dead because I couldn't risk contacting her. You want me to trust you? I want you to trust that I've spent 2 years building a case so airtight they can't touch you. I've documented everything, secured allies, made sure that if anything happens to you, the information goes public automatically. You testify, they go to prison, and you get your life back. I have a life, Zara said quietly. Here. Webb's eyes flickered to Dante, and understanding dawned. You're with him. With a criminal. With a man who saw me when I was invisible, who valued my intelligence instead of asking me to hide it, who's trying to build something better than what he was given. She moved closer to Dante, feeling his hand settle protectively on her lower back. He protected me when your precious agency left me to die. Zara, you're brilliant. You have gifts that could serve your country. Instead, you're wasting them helping a mobster. Watch your next words very carefully. Dante interrupted, his voice deadly soft. You're in my establishment asking favors? I'd suggest you show respect. Webb raised his hands in surrender. You're right. I apologize. But Zara, please, think about what's at stake. If Senator Hawthorne becomes CIA director, he'll have the power to manipulate intelligence, start conflicts, sell American secrets. How many people will die because of what he does with that power? The appeal to her conscience was well aimed. Zara had become an analyst because she believed in protecting people, in using her skills to prevent harm. Could she walk away knowing she could stop a traitor from gaining ultimate power? What's the timeline? She asked. Hope flashed across Webb's face. His confirmation hearing is in 6 weeks. I need you to testify 3 weeks before that. Give the committee time to investigate your claims before the public hearing. 3 weeks. Zara's mind calculated angles, risks, probabilities. And you're certain you can protect me this time? I've been planning this for 2 years. Everything is in place. She turned to Dante. Can I speak with you privately? They stepped into the kitchen, empty at this hour. Dante immediately pulled her into his arms, his hand cradling the back of her head. Tell me what you're thinking, he said softly. I'm thinking that I can't let a traitor run the CIA, that I have information that could save lives. But I'm also thinking that 3 weeks is a long time to stay alive when powerful people want you dead. So we make sure they can't touch you. Dante's eyes burned with determination. Webb isn't wrong about needing your testimony, but he's wrong about how to keep you safe. Government protection failed once. It'll fail again if the corruption goes high enough. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting we do this my way. You testify, but on our terms. With my security, my resources, my people ensuring nobody gets close to you. Webb provides the legal framework and political cover. I provide the actual protection. Zara pulled back to look at him. You'd do that? Risk exposing yourself to government scrutiny for me? I told you. I protect what's mine. And you're mine, Zara. Completely. Absolutely. Mine. He kissed her fiercely. Besides, having the government owe me a favor isn't bad for business, especially the legitimate business I'm building. Despite everything, she smiled. Always thinking strategically. Always protecting my most valuable asset, which is you. His expression sobered. But this is your choice. If you want to walk away, refuse to testify, stay hidden, I'll support that too. I'll make Webb disappear if that's what you need. The offer was genuine. She could see it in his eyes. He would murder a federal agent if she asked, would shield her from the world forever. But that wasn't the woman she wanted to be. Wasn't the woman who'd walked into his study and demanded to be seen. I'll do it, she said. But we do it your way. Webb provides the legal process. You provide the protection. And I provide the testimony that brings down a traitor. Dante's smile was fierce and proud. That's my girl. Brave and brilliant and beautiful. He kissed her once more. Let's go tell Webb he's got a deal. The next 3 weeks were a carefully orchestrated dance of preparation and protection. Webb provided documentation, coached Zara on testimony procedures, and coordinated with congressional allies. Dante provided security so tight that Zara couldn't move without 3 armed bodyguards, surveillance so comprehensive that they knew when a pigeon landed on the mansion's roof. And through it all, Zara and Dante grew closer. Late nights reviewing testimony became stolen kisses between strategy sessions. Security briefings turned into conversations about the future they might build together after this was over. When you testify, Dante said one evening as they lay tangled together in his bed, everything changes. You stop being a ghost. Start being Zara Williams again. Dr. Zara Williams? She corrected, smiling against his chest. If I'm coming back from the dead, I'm reclaiming everything they took from me. Will you stay? After? His voice was carefully neutral, but she felt the tension in his body. Or will you want to go back to your old life? Zara propped herself up on one elbow, studying his face in the dim light. My old life was lonely. Brilliant work, yes, but surrounded by people who saw me as a tool, not a person. Here, with you, I'm seen, valued, loved. She traced the line of his jaw. Why would I leave that? Because I'm still a criminal, even if I'm transitioning. Because my world is dangerous. Because you deserve better. I deserve someone who sees the best in me and challenges me to live up to it. Someone who protects me while respecting my strength. Someone who's working every day to become better than he was. She kissed him softly. That's you, Dante. You're what I deserve. His arms tightened around her. After your testimony, after the threat is neutralized, I want to do this properly. Court you, marry you, build a life with you. I want you to be my partner in everything, the legitimate businesses, the future I'm creating. Will you consider that? Consider becoming your wife and business partner? Zara's heart swelled. I'll consider it very seriously, assuming we survive the next few days. We'll survive. His voice was absolute conviction. And then, we'll build something extraordinary together. The testimony took place in a secure congressional facility, with Zara behind closed doors explaining in precise detail how she'd uncovered the corruption, what evidence she'd compiled, and why Senator Hawthorne and his associates posed a clear and present danger to national security. She spoke for 6 hours, answering questions, providing documentation, watching as the committee members' expressions shifted from skepticism to horror to grim determination. When it was over, the committee chair, a woman who'd served in intelligence herself, shook Zara's hand with genuine respect. "Dr. Williams, your country owes you a debt. One we can never fully repay, but we will ensure justice is served." Webb walked her out to where Dante waited with his security team. "It's done," Webb said. "Hawthorne's appointment will be withdrawn by morning. Criminal charges are being filed against all parties involved. You're safe now, Zara. Really safe." "Thank you," she said, meaning it, for finally doing the right thing. Webb nodded, then turned to Dante. "Take care of her. She's one of the good ones." "I know," Dante said simply, pulling Zara against his side. "And I always protect what's mine." In the car, Zara finally let herself exhale. "It's really over. The threat is over. Our life together is just beginning." Dante laced his fingers through hers. "Ready to stop hiding? To be Dr. Zara Williams, brilliant linguist and analyst, openly and proudly? Ready to be Zara Williams, partner to Dante Romano in all things?" She smiled. "Including helping you build that legitimate empire you're planning." "About that?" Dante's expression turned sly. "I may have registered a new business this morning, Romano International Consulting, translation services, cultural advisement, international business strategy. I was hoping you'd agree to be CEO." Zara's breath caught. "You're giving me a company?" "I'm giving us a company, a legitimate enterprise we build together. Your expertise, my resources, our shared vision of something better." He raised her hand to his lips. "What do you say, Dr. Williams? Want to change the world with me?" She'd spent 2 years being invisible, being nothing, being less than she was. Now this man, this complicated, dangerous, transformative man, was offering her everything she'd lost and more. A future, a purpose, a partnership built on mutual respect and undeniable love. "Yes," she said, sealing it with a kiss. "To all of it. The company, the future, you, yes." 6 months later, Zara stood in the Manhattan offices of Romano International Consulting, watching through floor-to-ceiling windows as the city sparkled below. The company was thriving. Their unique combination of linguistic expertise and international business acumen had attracted clients from legitimate corporations worldwide. Dante entered, sliding his arms around her waist from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. "The contracts from Tokyo came through. They want us to handle their entire North American expansion." "All legitimate?" she asked, already knowing the answer but needing to hear it. "All legitimate. No shadows, no secrets, no moral compromises." He turned her to face him. "You helped me build exactly what I dreamed of. Something good. Something I can be proud of. We built it together. Your vision, my execution, our partnership." Speaking of partnership, Dante pulled a small velvet box from his pocket, dropping to one knee. "Dr. Zara Williams, brilliant linguist, former ghost, current love of my life. Will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life proving I'm worthy of you?" Tears blurred her vision as she pulled him to his feet. "You already proved that. Every day for 6 months. Yes, Dante. Yes to everything." The ring was perfect, a simple diamond that caught the light like truth emerging from shadow. As he slid it onto her finger, Zara realized how far she'd come. From the invisible maid afraid to be seen, to the woman standing in her own office, running her own company, loved by a man who'd transformed himself for her. "I love you," she whispered against his lips. I love you more than I thought I was capable of loving anything. He deepened the kiss, then pulled back with a smile. Though I do have one confession to make. What? I knew you weren't just a maid from the moment you walked into my study. Something about the way you carried yourself, the intelligence in your eyes even when you tried to hide it. I think I fell in love with you that first night, watching you decode my entire operation like it was a simple puzzle. Zara laughed. And I knew you weren't just a monster when I saw your library. Men who collect philosophy in 7 languages and transition their empires toward legitimacy aren't monsters. They're just complicated. Complicated, Dante mused. I like that better than monster. Good. Because you're my complicated, brilliant, protective, transformative man, and I'm never letting you go. Promise? Promise. As Manhattan glittered below them, 2 people who'd been hiding in plain sight finally stepped fully into the light. The Mafia boss who became a legitimate businessman, the dead woman who came back to life. Together, they'd built something extraordinary from secrets and second chances, and their story was just beginning. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.